Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session on security and risk management. My name is Dr. Dwayne Hodges. I hold certifications including CISSP, CCISO, and I'm honored to be in the CEH Hall of Fame. Today, we'll explore the foundational concepts that underpin effective security and risk management in organizations. This lecture focuses on three pillars: governance, risk, and compliance, often abbreviated as GRC. We'll discuss how these elements work together to protect organizational assets, ensure regulatory compliance, and support business objectives. Security and risk management are not just technical concerns, they are strategic business priorities. Understanding GRC helps organizations align security efforts with business goals, manage threats, and respond to evolving regulatory landscapes. Throughout this lecture, we'll define core principles, examine real-world examples, and discuss practical frameworks. You'll gain insights into both the theory and practice of security governance and risk management. Let's begin by outlining our learning objectives for today's session. Let's start by reviewing our learning objectives for today's session. These objectives will guide our discussion and help you focus on the key takeaways. First, we'll define the fundamental principles of security governance and risk management. You'll learn how organizations structure their security programs and why risk management is essential for protecting assets and supporting business goals. Next, we'll explain the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which forms the backbone of information security. We'll also cover supporting principles like authenticity and non-repudiation and discuss how these concepts apply in real-world scenarios. We'll identify the legal, regulatory, and ethical issues that impact security professionals. This includes understanding privacy laws, intellectual property, and compliance requirements such as GDPR, HIPAA, and others. You'll learn how to apply due care and due diligence in your security practices. We'll introduce key frameworks such as ISO 27001 and NIST RMF that help organizations structure their security and compliance efforts. Finally, we'll analyze risk assessment and response techniques. You'll have the option to complete a case study and discover how to identify, evaluate, and respond to risks using both qualitative and quantitative methods. By the end of this lecture, you'll have a solid understanding of these foundational concepts and be prepared to apply them in practical settings. Let's dive into the core security concepts, starting with the CIA triad. Now, let's move into the core concepts that form the foundation of information security. Understanding these principles is essential for anyone working in security or risk management. The first and most fundamental concept is the CIA triad, which stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality means ensuring that information is accessible only to those authorized to have access. Integrity refers to the accuracy and trustworthiness of data, making sure it hasn't been altered or tampered with. Availability ensures that information and resources are accessible when needed by authorized users. In addition to the CIA triad, there are supporting principles like authenticity and non-repudiation. Authenticity verifies that users' systems and data are genuine. Non-repudiation provides proof of the origin and delivery of data, so actions cannot be denied later. Let's consider a real-world example: ransomware. When ransomware attacks an organization, it can compromise data integrity by encrypting files and making them unusable. This impacts both the integrity and availability of information and can have serious business consequences. To reinforce these concepts, let's do a quick activity. Think of a recent news story or personal experience where confidentiality, integrity, or availability was impacted. Share your example and identify which part of the CIA triad was affected. These core concepts will appear throughout our discussion today, so keep them in mind as we explore governance, risk management, and compliance. Let's now discuss security governance, a critical aspect of any organization's security program. Security governance ensures that security efforts are aligned with the overall business strategy and objectives. Effective governance means that security is not an afterthought. It's integrated into the organization's mission, vision, and goals. This alignment helps ensure that security investments support business priorities and risk tolerance. Several roles are involved in security governance. The board of directors sets the overall direction and holds ultimate accountability. The CEO is responsible for driving the organization's strategy, including security. The CISO, or Chief Information Security Officer, leads the security program and reports to executive leadership. The security team implements policies, manages controls, and responds to incidents. It's important to distinguish between due care and due diligence. Due care means taking reasonable steps to protect assets, doing what a prudent person would do. Due diligence is the ongoing process of maintaining and reviewing security controls to ensure they remain effective. Organizations use established frameworks to guide their governance efforts. Some of the most widely recognized include ISO 27001, which provides a comprehensive approach to information security management, NIST Risk Management Framework, RMF, which offers structured steps for managing risk, COBIT, which focuses on governance and management of enterprise IT, CMMC, or Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, which is especially relevant for defense contractors. By understanding these roles, responsibilities, and frameworks, you'll be better equipped to design and support effective security governance in any organization. Next, we'll look at the ethical, legal, and regulatory considerations that impact security management. Let's turn our attention to the ethical, legal, and regulatory dimensions of security management. Security professionals must navigate a complex landscape of laws, regulations, and ethical standards. A strong ethical foundation is essential. The ISC 2 Code of Ethics provides guidance for responsible conduct in the field. It emphasizes protecting society, acting honorably, and advancing the profession. Security work is governed by various legal requirements, including privacy laws and intellectual property protections. Understanding these laws helps organizations avoid costly violations and maintain trust with stakeholders. Organizations must comply with a range of regulations depending on their industry and location. Some key regulations include GDPR, governs data protection and privacy in the European Union. HIPAA sets standards for healthcare data security in the United States. SOX, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which addresses financial reporting and controls. DFARS, Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement, relevant for defense contractors. CMMC, Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, which sets requirements for handling controlled unclassified information. Security teams must stay up to date on changing laws and regulations. Ethical decision-making and legal compliance are not optional. They are core responsibilities for every security professional. Next, we'll explore the risk management lifecycle and how organizations identify and respond to threats. Now, let's examine the risk management lifecycle, a structured approach organizations use to identify, assess, and respond to risks. The risk management process is cyclical and ongoing. According to NIST Special Publication 839, it consists of 4 main phases: frame, assess, respond, and monitor. Frame. Establish the context for risk management, including organizational risk tolerance and priorities. Assess. Identify threats and vulnerabilities and evaluate the likelihood and impact of potential risks. Respond. Decide how to address each risk, whether to mitigate, transfer, accept, or avoid it. Monitor. Continuously track risk factors and the effectiveness of responses, adjusting as needed. A key part of the assessment phase is identifying both threats, such as cyber attacks, natural disasters, or insider threats, and vulnerabilities, which are weaknesses that could be exploited. Risk can be assessed in 2 main ways. Qualitative assessment uses descriptive scales like high, medium, low to evaluate risk. Quantitative assessment uses numerical values, such as estimated financial loss, to measure risk. Once risks are assessed, organizations choose a response, mitigate, implement controls to reduce risk. Transfer, shift risk to another party, such as through insurance. Accept, acknowledge the risk and take no further action, often for low-impact risks. Avoid, change plans or processes to eliminate the risk entirely. Effective risk management is not a one-time event. It requires continuous monitoring and adaptation as new threats and vulnerabilities emerge. Next, we'll discuss the different types of security controls organizations use to manage risk. Let's talk about the different types of security controls organizations use to manage risk and protect assets. Understanding control types helps you design layered defenses and respond effectively to threats. Controls are typically grouped into 3 main categories. Preventive controls. These are designed to stop incidents before they occur. Examples include firewalls, access controls, and security policies. Detective controls. These identify and alert you to incidents as they happen. Examples include intrusion detection systems, security monitoring, and audit logs. Corrective controls. These help restore systems and data after an incident. Examples include backup solutions, incident response plans, and patch management. There are also other important control types, deterrent controls. These discourage potential attackers, such as warning signs or legal notices. Compensating controls. These provide alternative protections when standard controls aren't feasible. For example, manual reviews when automated controls aren't available. Recovery controls. These focus on restoring operations after a disruption, such as disaster recovery plans. Effective security uses a defense-in-depth approach, layering controls across physical, technical, and administrative domains. Physical controls include locks, security guards, and surveillance cameras. Technical controls involve software and hardware solutions like encryption and antivirus. Administrative controls are policies, procedures, and training. By understanding and applying these control types, you can build resilient security programs that address a wide range of risks. Next, we'll discuss business continuity and personnel security, which are essential for maintaining operations during and after incidents. Now let's discuss business continuity and personnel security, two areas that are essential for keeping organizations resilient in the face of disruptions. A business impact analysis, or BIA, is the process of identifying critical business functions and the impact of a disruption. Key terms here include RTO, recovery time objective, which is the maximum acceptable time to restore a function, and MTD, maximum tolerable downtime, which is the absolute limit before severe consequences occur. Business Continuity Planning, or BCP, uses the results of the BIA to develop strategies and procedures for maintaining operations during and after an incident. Personnel security is about managing risks related to people, often the weakest link in security. This includes careful hiring practices, thorough onboarding processes, and secure termination procedures to reduce insider threats and ensure only trusted individuals have access. Effective policy management is the backbone of a strong security culture. Organizations use a hierarchy. Policies set the high-level direction, standards define mandatory requirements, procedures provide step-by-step instructions, and guidelines offer best practices. By integrating business continuity planning and robust personnel security, organizations can better withstand disruptions and recover quickly. Next, we'll look at supply chain risk management and the importance of continuous monitoring. Slide 9, Supply Chain App Continuous Monitoring Speaking Notes. Introduction. Let's now focus on two critical areas, supply chain risk management and continuous monitoring. Both are essential for maintaining a secure and resilient organization in today's interconnected world. Supply Chain Risk Management, SCRM. Supply chain risk management, or SCRM, involves identifying and addressing risks that arise from third-party vendors, suppliers, and service providers. A single weak link in the supply chain can expose the entire organization to threats, such as data breaches or service disruptions. It's important to assess the security posture of all partners and require them to meet your organization's standards. Continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring means regularly assessing your systems, networks, and processes for new threats and vulnerabilities. This is not a one-time activity. It's an ongoing process that helps organizations detect issues early and respond quickly. Continuous monitoring also supports compliance by providing evidence that controls are working as intended. Metrics and KPIs. To measure the effectiveness of your risk management efforts, use metrics and key performance indicators, KPIs. These might include the number of detected incidents, time to respond, or percentage of vendors meeting security requirements. Tracking these metrics helps drive continuous improvement and risk maturity. Transition. By managing supply chain risks and implementing continuous monitoring, organizations can strengthen their overall security posture. Next, we'll apply these concepts in a case study discussion. Let's apply what we've learned with a case study discussion. This scenario involves a defense contractor using a cloud service to store and process controlled unclassified information, or CUI. First, let's identify the key risks in this scenario: data breaches or unauthorized access to sensitive CUI, compliance failures with government regulations and contractual requirements, potential service outages or disruptions impacting availability, insider threats, either from the contractor staff or the cloud provider. The Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, or CMMC at Maturity Level 2, ML2, requires organizations to implement a set of practices and processes to protect CUI. This includes access controls, incident response planning, and regular security assessments. The contractor must ensure the cloud provider also meets these requirements. Let's connect this scenario to the CIA triad: confidentiality. How is CUI kept private in the cloud? Are encryption and access controls in place? Integrity. What measures ensure the data isn't altered or tampered with? Availability. How does the contractor ensure authorized users can access CUI when needed, even during outages? Due care means the contractor must take reasonable steps to protect CUI, such as vetting the cloud provider and enforcing security policies. Due diligence involves ongoing monitoring and assessment to ensure both the contractor and provider maintain compliance and security. Let's discuss what additional risks might exist in this scenario. How would you prioritize responses if you were the security manager? What lessons can we apply to our own organizations? This case study highlights the importance of integrating security, compliance, and risk management in real-world operations. Next, we'll review key terms and concepts from today's session. Before we wrap up, let's review some key terms from today's session. Understanding these terms is essential for communicating effectively about security and risk management. Governance, the set of responsibilities and practices exercised by senior management to provide strategic direction, ensure objectives are achieved, and manage risk. Due care, the steps an organization takes to show it has acted responsibly to protect assets and information. Due diligence, the ongoing process of continually assessing and improving security controls to ensure they remain effective. BIA, business impact analysis, the process of determining the potential impact of disruptions to critical business operations. CIA triad, the foundational model of information security: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Risk assessment, the process of identifying, evaluating, and prioritizing risks to organizational assets. Control types, the various categories of security controls, such as preventive, detective, and corrective, used to manage risk. Frameworks, structured approaches like ISO 27001 or NIST RMF that guide organizations in implementing effective security programs. Ethics, the principles and standards that guide professional conduct in the security field. Becoming familiar with these terms will help you better understand security documentation, communicate with colleagues, and prepare for certifications. Next, we'll look at your assignment and some closing thoughts to reinforce what we've covered today. To reinforce today's concepts, I'm assigning a practical exercise that will help you apply what you've learned. First, perform a mini business impact analysis. Identify a critical business function. This could be a process, system, or service essential to operations. Assess what would happen if this function was disrupted. Consider impacts on revenue, reputation, compliance, and customer trust. Next, identify 3 specific risks to your chosen business function. For each risk, recommend an appropriate response. Will you mitigate, transfer, accept, or avoid the risk? Explain your reasoning and how your response supports business continuity and security. For further study, read Chapters 1 and 2 of the CISSP All-in-One Guide. These chapters provide foundational knowledge on security governance, risk management, and related frameworks. This assignment is designed to give you hands-on experience with risk assessment and response strategies. If you have questions or need clarification, please reach out before our next session. Let's conclude with some closing thoughts to summarize today's key messages. As we wrap up today's session, let's reflect on the key messages. Security and risk management are foundational to every aspect of an organization's operations. They are not isolated functions, but underpin all domains, from IT and HR to finance and supply chain. Leadership accountability is crucial. Success in security starts at the top, with leaders setting the tone, allocating resources, and driving a culture of responsibility and vigilance. Security is not a one-time project. It's a continuous process. Threats evolve, technologies change, and organizations must adapt by regularly reviewing and improving their security posture. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Bruce Schneier: "Security is not a product, but a process." This reminds us that true security is achieved through ongoing effort, learning, and adaptation. Thank you for your attention and engagement today. I encourage you to apply these principles in your work, continue learning, and contribute to building a safer, more resilient organization. If you have any questions or want to discuss these topics further, please reach out. I look forward to seeing your progress on the assignment and in your future security roles.